Moving Average Convergence Divergence, what we know as MACD. It's a dynamic hybrid indicator. It can get the job done for the trend as well as the momentum of the market if used with MACD histogram. But are you aware of the fact that we can figure out three different divergences with the MACD indicator and the price? They are the proper positive and the negative divergence, slant divergence, and peak and trough divergence. Let's take a look. So let's take a chart and let's plot the MACD indicator and let's figure it out. What are these three different types of divergences? I have the Tara Motors chart, and let's go back. Let's use the weekly charts. It will give us a little bit more stability to the ebb and flow. Focus on the indicator section, click on it, type MACD, and you will get the inbuilt moving average convergence divergence. Click on it, indicator gets plotted. By default, Gerald Apple, the person who developed it, his pre-default parameters are 12, 26, 9, and this is the histogram. This video is not about the nitty-gritties of MACD, how is it calculated or not, maybe some other day. But over here, I want to focus on the three different types of divergences. So let's go to the settings of the MACD. You can see 12, 26, 9 EMA. Come to the style, and I'm going to color the MACD black. I'm going to give it a nice thick look. The signal line red, give it a nice thick look. Let the MACD be what it is, and I'm ready. First type of divergence, the simple, conventional, positive divergence and negative divergence between price and the indicator. For that, it is advisable that you change your chart type from whatever you're using, candles, bar, or Heikin-Ashi like me, you change it to line. Line will give you some clarity. If you do not want to, keep it your candles, keep whatever you're using, and then you can plot an exponential moving average like a 5-period exponential moving average. By default, when you plot them on TradingView, it shows 9-period. Reduce it to 5. Is that okay? Give it a black thick look, and there you go. So either use a line chart or whatever, candles, whatever you're using, plot a 5 EMA. Example number 1. Whenever you see price or your EMA going up on the price, and exactly during that time when you see your MACD line, that is the black line, and or the signal line, which is the red line, coming down, this, my friend, is a proper negative divergence between price and MACD. This is telling us that that the higher upsides that the chart is making at the top, it is losing momentum, and so if you get a crossover, this chart may fall. If that is a positive, if that is a negative divergence, and if I zoom in close to the current juncture, can you see the black line made two lows which are lower? Can you take a look at the behavior of the MACD line, the black line? Do you see that it's higher? Can you focus on this area? This is a proper conventional positive divergence between price and the indicator. If it gives you a crossover after that, then you can expect upsides. This is not very difficult. I do not think so this will be that difficult. The slightly different kind of divergences which we can find between price and using the MACD indicator is with the help of the MACD histogram. Now what I'm going to share with you is you go to the settings and you deselect the MACD and the signal line and you focus on the histogram, because the next two divergences, which is the slant divergence, which is the peak and trough divergence, that has got to do with price behavior and the histogram behavior, nothing to do with the MACD or the signal line. Let's start with slant. Slant is relatively simpler and easier to understand. You're essentially, looking for something like this area. If I mark it with a vertical line, from this point, if you take a look at the behavior of price all the way till this point, you'll see that the price has plateaued out. It's just marginally kind of going up. And when you take a look at the slant of the histogram, it's dropping. So price is flattish to little up. The slant is clearly down. This is a negative slant divergence. It means the same thing. Momentum is slowing down. Can we see the opposite of a slant divergence on the downside? What you will look for is a falling market, something like this, falling price, something like this, more or less. And during that time, where did it go? Yeah, there it is. Sorry. And during this time, you see that the prices are predominantly, the angle of the moving average is down and the slant of price is up. It's a slant divergence. My suggestion, my experience tells me that do not pinpoint each and every move of the price and each and every move of the indicator, but more or less understanding of the fact that, listen, price is falling, slant is rising. What I'm trying to say is don't pinpoint one bar positive or one bar. Just at least wait for 2 to 3 bars to take a shape. Don't jump on your seat if it falls for 1 bar. If it goes up by 1 bar, at least 3 bars. Then you can, with some degree of confidence, say that yes, a slant is taking a shape. So that's a slant divergence. Slant divergence will form a little earlier than conventional divergences, which we discussed earlier. And the last one, peak and trough divergence. Sorry, I just happened to delete the MACD indicator. I wanted to remove the drawings. Peak and trough divergence is a tricky one. It's something that doesn't come that easy. It's something that you will not be able to spot on your charts that easily. As I'm just, zooming in and out of this Tata Motors weekly chart, I do not see any significant peak and trough divergence. I'm going to change my time frame. I'm not going to change the chart, but I'm going to change the time frame from the weekly to the daily, and just want to find for this particular video, can I find an impromptu example of a peak and trough divergence? And I have one. See, peak and trough divergence, as the name suggests, you're going to compare 2 peaks or 2 troughs. Peak of the histogram with the next peak of the histogram, and the peak of the price when it makes the peak of the histogram with the next one. Clear? Price goes up, indicator comes down, peak and trough divergence. This is on the negative side. If I go on the positive side, I will be looking for peak and trough divergence in a falling market, in a falling situation, wherein the market goes down, it makes lower lows. And let me join this trough, this particular trough on the daily chart of Tata Motors with the next one somewhere here. And you will notice that on my charts, I have a lowering low. But if you take a look at these 2 troughs, they are higher. This is tricky. This is not as clean as the conventional divergence. Slant is slightly tricky, but it's not as tricky as peak and trough, to be honest. We generally do not get to see a very clean peak and trough all the time. And so what I would suggest is give it a benefit of doubt and wait for the price to confirm that peak and trough divergence. In order of importance, if you ask me, the conventional negative positive divergence, wherein you're comparing the EMA with the MACD line, the ones that we have hidden, the MACD line and signal line, that's the cleanest one. A nice flowing on the downside, a nice an edge up on the upside. You've got a positive divergence, look for a long trade. It's pretty clean, easy to understand, easy to spot. It gets trickier with slant. It gets tricky with slant, and it gets trickier with the peak and trough. If you really want to look for peak and trough divergences, I would suggest use the higher time frames. Minimum weekly chart. Do not use peak and trough on the lower time frames. Because they're taking histogram, it's kind of little edgy. It's not very clean. Right? So these are the 3 divergences with the help of the MACD indicator. And MACD conventional divergences are pretty strong. I like them, I pay importance to them, and they most of the time play out in your favor. So let me know what you think about these concepts, if you've learned anything new. If you know anything else, share it with me. I'll also learn from you. Thank you for following my work. Trade well.